Welcome to Literature 247, your free online literature class. This video is not about any literature text or poems, but it is how to give us some hints on choosing literature text for our students. That is, how to select literature text for students. As we all know that we have 9 recommended literature texts by WAEC. We don't just go ahead and choose any text. There are certain things that we need to consider. So this is what this video is all about. Let's go into the classroom. Now the title here is How to Select Literature Text for Students, a case study of 2026 to 2030 syllabus. That is, we are going to make use of the recommended text in the WAEC 2026 to 2030 syllabus. Now, before we go into the details, we have some preambles. To discuss first. Now, let's go ahead. A trained teacher in a college or university undergoes the teaching methodologies in the course of their studies. They are taught different approaches to teaching. That's where we are going to start. One of the approaches is that a teacher should teach from simple to complex. Another one is to teach from the known to the unknown. That is, we must first introduce the students to something that is simple, now teach to complex. Another one is to teach from unknown. That is, some things they know already, we now teach to the unknown. There's also the consideration of the availability of materials to be used. That is, we consider the materials we are going to select for them to use. Are they available? All these approaches are to be considered when choosing literature text for our students. Now, as we all know, literature students don't need to read all the recommended text for the senior school certificate examination. Out of the 8 African and non-African texts, they are to answer questions on 4 of the text. This gives room for the selection of the text. We are not William Shakespeare is not here. We only consider the prose and the drama. So the students are not expected to answer questions on all the text, but just 4. That gives room for selection of the best for our students. The first thing to consider is the availability of the text by the teacher. The teacher needs to do a market survey to know if the ones to select are available in the market, so that at the end of the day, you don't end up creating problem for your class. You have to do market survey to check the ones that are available in the market. Some of the recommended texts might be scarce, especially when a new syllabus is released. The teacher must choose the ones that are available in the market. As said earlier, a teacher is expected to teach from simple to complex. A literature teacher should be able to identify a text that is simpler for the students from the pair. We have 2 African drama, 2 African prose, 2 non-African drama, 2 non-African prose. So we have to consider the one that is simpler for our students to understand. The texts are written by different authors with different approaches and use of language. It is thereby expected that one will be simpler than the other. The simpler one should be chosen by the teacher for easier comprehension of the learners. A simpler text can be identified through the number of characters, the volume, and the scenes. For example, An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley has just 7 characters and 3 acts, while A Man for All Seasons by Robert Burns has many characters and more scenes. The tendency is there that An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley will be simpler than A Man for All Seasons by Robert Burns. Another important methodology that is relevant here is teaching from the known to the unknown. In applying this method in literature, the teacher should consider the content of the text. He will then choose the one he feels the learners are conversant with the subject matter or have the ideas of the discourse, no matter how small. This method is relevant in choosing from the African recommended text. In the WAEC 2026 to 2030 syllabus, we have Once Upon an Elephant by Bosede Ademiluwa Afolayan, a Nigerian author. There is also The Marriage of Anansewa by Efwati Sutherland, a Ghanaian author. These are selected African drama texts in the syllabus. The first text written by a Nigerian author discusses the Yoruba people of southwest Nigeria and some of their cultural heritage. The author even makes use of Yoruba vocabulary in the text. With this, some of the literature students in Nigeria will be familiar with the discourse in Once Upon an Elephant. Even some non-Yorubas might be familiar with the events in the text. Considering this methodology, literature teachers in Nigeria should consider choosing Once Upon an Elephant above The Marriage of Anansewa. The Marriage of Anansewa by Efwati Sutherland is also about Ghana and some of their cultural heritages. The literature students in Ghana will be familiar with this and the names of the characters in the text. A literature teacher from Ghana could also consider The Marriage of Anansewa above Once Upon an Elephant. Literature teachers from countries outside Nigeria and Ghana can choose between the two. In doing this, they will consider other approaches earlier mentioned, availability and simplicity of the text. Another thing to be considered here is the subject matter of the text. For example, Redemption Road by Emma Shaw is about the Civil War in Liberia. The students in the urban areas could be more familiar with this than those in the rural areas, since it is more of current affairs. So, a literature teacher in the urban areas of any country can consider this above So the Pad Does Not Die by Pete Hollis. The subject matter of So the Pad Does Not Die is circumcision, which the learners from the rural areas could be familiar with. I think, as you can understand, that the settings in So the Pad Does Not Die is just about a local area, at least at the beginning. They may not have any idea of Liberian Civil War, hence, So the Pad Does Not Die by Pete Hollis could be considered for these categories of learners. The same approach should also be used in choosing the recommended non-African text. The simplicity, complexity, availability, and teaching from the known to the unknown. Some subject matters are popular that the learners might be familiar with. One of such is racial discrimination, and this can be embedded in the subject matter of a literature text. Such texts could be chosen above others, as we have in To Kill a Mockingbird by Apali. In conclusion, it is however advisable that literature students read all the recommended texts. This affords them ample opportunity to choose questions from any of the texts. They will have the opportunity to assess the questions and identify the simpler ones to choose from. A literature student who reads all the texts has the advantage of answering simpler questions than those who select from the 8 recommended texts. Such a student has the opportunity to perform better than the others. That is, if a student reads all the texts, he has the opportunity to perform better than the others. Now let's now go to William Shakespeare drama text. The Shakespeare text should be read last. Why? Now, as we all know that the language used in writing William Shakespeare series is different from the modern English used for the other texts. William Shakespeare wrote in early modern English spoken in England from the 15th to the 17th centuries. That's the type of English William Shakespeare used, that is early modern English. His works are written in a style called Elizabethan or Shakespearean English. That is the English used between 15th and the 17th century in England. If it is introduced early in the class, that is, if we introduce William Shakespeare text to the students as one of the first text or second or third text, it may affect the interest of the students in the subject because they will believe it is the same language used in the remaining text. So that is one of the reasons why William Shakespeare should come last. Also, by the time the students are taken through the remaining text and the poems, their minds will have been developed literally. This will simplify the work of the teacher in explaining and interpreting the plots of the text. By the time they are introduced to the remaining texts and the poems, by the time they are taken through all those texts and the poems, their mind will have been developed, at least to understand William Shakespeare by the time the teacher is teaching, by the time they are reading it in the class. So, these are some of the points that can be considered by a literature teacher in choosing the literature text for our students. Please, if you are not part of this, if you are just joining this platform, try and click on the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you will be part of the class and you are going to be notified whenever any video is produced. And I also want to use this opportunity to tell you that all the poems and the text in the 2026 to 2030 syllabus are being reviewed on this platform. So, be part of the class. You are free to share our videos, any of our videos on any social media platform, be it Facebook, Twitter, or any social media platform. Introduce your friend and colleagues to join us. Try and recommend this platform to your students. If you have any question or comment, do not hesitate to send it to the comment section and it will be attended to. Thank you and God bless. Let's meet in the next class.